first time Daniel saw her, it was pouring rain. Not a soft drizzle, but a storm so heavy the streets looked like rivers. He was standing outside a cafe, soaked through when she passed with a small red umbrella and eyes that carried a sadness he recognized instantly. For a brief moment, their eyes met. Two strangers, both haunted by losses they didn't speak of. Daniel wasn't looking for love. 6 months earlier, he had lost Emily, the woman he thought would be his forever. The illness had been sudden, the silence that followed unbearable. He still wore his wedding band like a shield, convincing himself he'd never risk his heart again. Clara, the woman with the umbrella, carried her own scars. 2 years before, she had been left at the altar. Since then, she kept her heart locked away, building walls high enough to protect herself from ever being abandoned again. But that day in the rain, fate, or maybe mercy, intervened. She noticed his drenched state, tilted her umbrella, and offered him a quiet smile. They walked into the cafe together, sharing silence that somehow felt safe. For Daniel, it was the first time in months that something inside him stirred, faint but undeniable. Their paths kept crossing. At the bookstore, where Clara pretended she wasn't staring at the romance section. At the park, when Daniel's dog stole her scarf and made her laugh, a laugh she hadn't heard from herself in years. Each meeting was small, ordinary, yet each chipped away at the loneliness surrounding them. Healing, though, is never simple. Daniel still whispered Emily's name at night, guilt gnawing at him for even noticing another woman. Clara still fought doubts that anyone could love her without leaving. Yet slowly they began to share pieces of themselves. The stories they'd buried, the hurts they thought no one else would understand. And in those confessions, something shifted. They didn't try to mend each other's wounds, they simply listened. They made space for the grief, and in doing so, discovered that broken hearts could still beat side by side. One autumn evening, beneath trees shedding golden leaves, Daniel slipped off his wedding band. His voice was soft, trembling. "I'll never stop loving her, but I think she'd want me to keep living." Clara reached for his hand, her eyes shining. "Love doesn't erase what we've lost," she whispered. "It grows alongside it, different but just as real." It wasn't fireworks, it wasn't grand. It was two wounded souls choosing to trust again, step by step. Months later, they would laugh about that first rainy day, share coffees that stretched into midnight, and learn what it meant to love again, not despite their heartbreak, but because of it. And on another rainy afternoon under that same red umbrella, they finally kissed. Proof that even after the darkest storms, love can bloom again,